Crypto Kids, in 2 minutes' time, we're going to have one of the largest Bitcoin option expiries, quote unquote, that equates to between 23 billion and 28 billion dollars. What we see in the options market are expiries that happen on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and even a quarterly basis. All of these options expire at 8 a.m. UTC time. That's in 2 minutes. And because this is the last Friday of the year, we see all of these bundled up into one specific day, which is today, and that's why those options expiries are quite a lot. Now I'm going to give you the TLDR behind it, and I will also then analyze it into more detail following these 2 minutes, and we will jump into the technical analysis as well, so stick around until the end. This is the quick TLDR as you're watching this live and as you're watching this as a video. There was 23 to 28 billion dollars worth of options expiries, but when we look at the most updated data, a lot of these expiries have been rolled over. So what you can do is you can actually roll over options. Options are not an obligation, but they are a possibility if you wish to exercise them to purchase an asset at a lower or higher price, or sell the asset or purchase an asset. If you're doing a call option or a put option, it's going to defer. And if you come to the point of expiry and you're not in the money with your option, if you're out of the money, then you have the ability to roll it over into a later date by paying a specific fee. So what we can look at into the latest options data, this is reflecting today. Most of the options have been rolled over into next year. The max pain point was at $96,000. And in the event where they do not get rolled over, price gets magnetized into what is called a max pain, which is where most market participants are going to end up losing the most amount of money, and the market makers end up making the most amount of money. Because these options have been rolled over, necessarily, it doesn't mean that now we will get that magnetization to the upside, unfortunately, because they've been rolled over into next year. So no longer is it the case that we're going to get those multi-billion dollars of expiries happening in a minute's time, because they've mostly been rolled over into next year. But can we expect volatility? Of course you can. This is why I wanted to prepare this stream and do this stream regardless, just to give you education and information about options, and also go into the markets as we're at a pivotal time. We're in a symmetrical triangle. So that was the TLDR on the options. I don't think we're going to see dramatic amounts of movements where we go to $96,000 of max pain all of a sudden. That's no longer the case because these options have been rolled over into next year. So this is 25th of December. Every year it comes back one day. 25th of December 2026 is now where most of the option expiries in terms of OI is sitting, open interest is sitting. And then when you look at today, you don't see much happening. It's rolled over into the next year. So we're not really going to experience that volatility that we could have possibly experienced. But it is the end point. So when we look at the technical analysis, we've reached the finality, the end point of a symmetrical triangle pattern post price downwards continuation. When I look at the technicals alone, and technicals represent everything, they represent fundamental analysis, they represent on-chain data, they represent options data, they're all summarized into small candlestick blocks. All of these candlesticks, they summarize market psychology, they summarize market expectation, and depending on that expectation, you form patterns, mathematical patterns that give you mathematical probabilities of which way you're going to see a move towards. So now that when we look at this chart, we see a symmetrical triangle from downwards price movements. When you take it from this perspective alone, it is more bearish than it is bullish. That's just statistically the facts. You come from bearish price movement. If you form a symmetrical triangle from bearish price movement, it is more probable that you experience a breakdown as to a breakup. You can also make the case that we created a bear flag, then we retested the bear flag support. Maybe if I remove the EMA ribbons, we can make the picture a bit more clear. So you can even make the case we tested this bear flag prior support into resistance, and now we're making our move towards the downside. So when I look at Bitcoin, it is more bearish than it is bullish. The options expiries gave me a little bit of hopium because the max pain point is at $96,000, and because price does get magnetized historically into that specific max pain, I thought, okay, maybe there's an opportunity for Bitcoin to now experience a push upwards and reach that max pain point and liquidate the most market participants, as it always does, sadly, most market participants don't make money, and market makers make money, and they're the people providing liquidity for these options contracts. So that was my final hopium. And in my live streams and in my videos, I made the statement saying that, okay, if Bitcoin is able to break above the $91.8 thousand mark consecutively for 2 daily candles in a row, then I expect the 200 daily moving average, which is currently sitting at 107.4, to be tested and then eventually rejected. And that's exactly where I'm opening short positions between 99.5 all the way into 107, because I do expect, even if we do test it, a rejection from that point. So we have gone into a technical transition from bull into bear markets. This would be where all of the hope gets all the hope gets re-injected into the market. People become bullish again. People say, okay, we're so back. And that would be the point of rejection and move to the downside. I know we're not getting those massive amounts of option expiries anymore, but still, if we break above 91.8 with 2 consecutive daily candles, my ultimate summary would be that Bitcoin would eventually head into 107. How am I trading that potential move? Well, I'm shorting between 99.5 all the way down to no take profit. As of right now, we would have to come up with take profit targets once or if that move does happen to be true for Bitcoin, but I just have plenty of shorts open between the blocks of 99.5 leading into the 200 daily moving average, currently sitting at 107,500. So something like this is what I basically have over on weeks. And if you're looking for a place to be opening long or short positions, you can go to the description of today's live stream / video and sign up to weeks using the first link down below to get the best bonus available with our specific link in the description. That's the trading setup. That's the trading plan. 91.8 needs to be confirmed with 2 daily candle closes, and then we can see a move into the 200 daily moving average. If we do, that's the point where I'm shorting Bitcoin. But if you remove that, then I think we do look more bearish based off of the setup. If you lose the support line of this triangle, that's currently at $86,800, then Bitcoin will most likely, in my opinion, come down and collect the liquidity from the April 2025 lows. And that's currently at 74K. We got to see what the market does here. Market's going to decide very soon, perhaps by tonight. If not tonight, then by Monday, Tuesday next week, when we have more liquidity and we're over the Christmas holiday period. Merry Christmas again to everybody celebrating. But when I look at the macro TA2, we're below the EMA ribbons. It's very similar to what we saw in the bull market, bear market transition in 2021, where you saw a flip of the bullish EMA ribbons into bearish, and then prices saw a test to the 200 daily moving average, and then you got rejected to much lower levels. So overall, I think the intermediate short term, which refers to the 10-month basis, 9 to 10 months, is bearish. But when we look into the macro, you guys know about liquidity. You guys know about all of the bullishness taking place in terms of a regulatory approach, in terms of a liquidity approach. So when you put that into picture, then I think 2027 and 2028 are going to be bullish. That is the roundup of the Bitcoin technical analysis. Let's jump into the options a bit more just to educate you guys, give you some information. It's very useful for the long term when these happen next year, or maybe you can take a look at these on every Friday or every last Friday of the month. You know, you can incorporate this into your trading and analyze it on CoinGlass. It's a cool tool to be looking at. It's a cool piece of information to know. So what are Bitcoin options, right? Bitcoin options are not an obligation, but you do have the right to, let's say, you buy a call option at $96,000. And we did go into this in detail on the last video, but I'll do a quick explanation. We can use the tool Blank Slates to demonstrate exactly how this works. Okay, so let's look into a call option. Call option is where, let's say, the price of Bitcoin is at $85,000, right? Bitcoin is at $85,000. And you assume that obviously Bitcoin, assumption is that Bitcoin is going to go up, all right? Then you can buy options depending on the timeframes. There'll be different timeframes available for options. Let's say you bought an option that will exercise and expire within 1 year. So you bought it today, your option will expire in 1 year on the 25th of December. And you're saying that there's a specific strike price on that option. You're saying your expectation is bullish. You think that Bitcoin next year can go to, or when it closes next year in 365 days, it will be at $100,000. So if it does go there, then you're creating this contract where if Bitcoin does go to 100K, you have the option to buy it at 85,000. And then because it's at 100K, then you can buy the Bitcoin at 85 and then sell it at 100K, right? So I hope that makes sense. I'm honestly not an options expert, but I do know the basics of it, and I hopefully can transmit those basics to you in the best way possible. My Bitcoin technical analysis, that's where my expertise lies, but options is an interesting concept. I'm learning it more and more and more because I'm considering to trade options for Bitcoin myself for hedging. But yeah, I'm not the biggest expert at this, and I want to give you the full disclosure, but the basics are simple and it's easy to understand. And if you're a seller, then you do the inverse of it. You're the one that's providing liquidity, creating that contract, and you collect a premium that can be classified as passive income once you do create that contract. Selling is more risky though. You need a lot of capital to do puts, and I think there is more limited risk if you do calls for Bitcoin because Bitcoin has much bigger upside risk than it has downside risk. If you want to learn more, you can always talk to your ChatGPT, your local ChatGPT, or Grok, and Grok will give you a great explanation of it too. But that's just sort of the 2 cents behind options, and hopefully it gives you at least a basic understanding of it. Okay, so why did we say $96,000 is an important level, and why do we say that price could potentially get magnetized to it? Well, $96,000 is the strike where the maximum number of options, which were mostly calls, would expire worthless. So let's say people bought a bunch of call options with the strike price, so the price expectation was $96,000. If Bitcoin today was at $96,000 and they bought these call options when let's assume it was $95,000, when you reached $96,000, yes, Bitcoin went up by $1,000, but you need to consider the premium. You need to consider, okay, if I exit, there's going to be fees, trading fees involved when I exit this option. And really, there isn't too much of profitability. So you either get out of the option or you roll it over into a next time level to see that maybe, you know, after 1 month, 2 months, or maybe a year, then you're going to make enough money to then exercise the option. So that's why we saw, I think, a lot of people roll them over. The max pain point was $96,000, and we were just trading a lot below it, but most of these were calls, and Bitcoin is currently in a bearish skew. So when you look into the macro with liquidity and things involved, then we know that 2026 Q4 is going to be likely where Bitcoin starts to be bullish again. So what makes sense is to roll them over into exactly a year later, to Q4 of 2026. I believe that's ultimately what happened. So they have the ability to immediately, on Deribit, where most of this volume OI interest was generated, they have the ability to go into a bundle combo trade. And see, Deribit supports combo trading, where you can execute the close and the open of a new contract order, a new option order, like this, automatically. So the option isn't exercised, and then you have to take whatever you've made, or if you've not made, then open another option. You can do a combo trade in one singular trade, and that makes it easier for you to roll it over. And if you're out of the money with your option, you may as well roll it over instead of going into expiry. So why was it that people were bullish? Was it because institutions were hedging a lot? So were they in secret shorting Bitcoin, and that's why they were doing a lot of calls to hedge their shorts? Or was it just that market sentiment overall was bullish? Well, according to Grok's research, the primary market interpretation is bullish, he says. I think it was bullish leading into like September. And remember, these options, they have expiry. Some of them have a year, right? So they would expire in 365 days. Some would expire in a month. Some would expire in one singular day. I think people overall just can't accept the fact that we've entered into a bull into bear market transition period. And this is why overall, I think individuals that were doing options were more bullish than they were bearish. I don't think it has a lot to do with the institutions either shorting Bitcoin and hedging themselves with these options. I think genuinely most people were bullish, and they were unlucky this time, right? But there's also a fact that if you are bullish on Bitcoin, you're going to be right more oftentimes than you're wrong, because in the macro, Bitcoin goes up more so than it goes down. Okay, so Bitcoin goes up more so than it goes down. This is why if you're a perma bull on Bitcoin, you're more likely to be correct. I do see a lot of questions in the chat, and I'm going to get into those questions very shortly. I just want to finish this market breakdown and the explanation behind the short positions. And actually, no, we've covered everything regarding the shorts, the options contracts. We've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Again, in conclusion, because we saw a lot of these option contracts roll over into next year, are we going to see massive amounts of miraculous bullish volatility to the upside? It has become much more unlikely, but if we can break above 91.8, I think we will go into the 107.4 territories, which is where the 200 daily moving average is sitting at. If we lose the 86.5, 86.4 levels, then we could grab liquidity. In fact, I do believe that we will grab liquidity in the 74 territory from the lows created in April of earlier this year. We have a couple of breaking news. The person that predicted the exact top for Bitcoin, remember each cycle, people deny the 4-year cycles, but every single cycle from the lowest point to the highest point of Bitcoin, it's been the case where you've went up, right, for 1,064 days. So from the lowest point, the lowest low of a Bitcoin bear market to the highest high of a Bitcoin bull market for the past 3-4 cycles has been 1,064 days. Most people deny the existence of the 4-year cycles, but this is the mathematical proof. And somebody back in 2023, it looks like, has predicted that the exact top for Bitcoin would have been on the 6th of October 2025, and that was the exact top for Bitcoin on the 6th of October 2025. The same person made the following post. They said that Bitcoin is going to reach an all-time high in 2026 at $250,000, Ethereum at 20, Solana at 1,500, and something called bullish at $10. You see, I would have given credit to this this post and maybe tried to break it down and make some sort of a feasible understanding of it. But because they said Solana $1,500, I'm going to completely disregard this prediction, and we're going to have to say that this first prediction was just very lucky, and they looked at the prior amounts of days it took to reach from bottom of the cycle to the top, and we even made that prediction here on this channel too. So yeah, I'm going to disregard this new bullish prediction. Another thing that was that happened, that took place, that's worth of noting, was that we got a brand new CFTC chairman who used to be, when you look at his LinkedIn profile, he used to be the chief counsel of the Crypto Task Force and senior advisor to the chairman, which was Paul Atkins, another very bullish individual. He's spoken many times, many times for pro-crypto. Pro-crypto, pro-crypto, pro-crypto. The SEC has been bull posting about crypto like he's the man responsible from the transitory shifts from Gensler's approach to crypto to now the Trump administration focused approach to crypto, and that's been led by Paul Atkins, the chair of the SEC. He's the person that allowed for many altcoin ETFs to pass, etc., etc. And the new CFTC chairman that looks at the commodities division for regulation, whereas the SEC looks at securities, and we need a bridge of both of these parties to help innovation and foster more growth, because some cryptocurrency assets are considered securities, some like Bitcoin are considered commodities. So we need both of them to provide a pro-innovation environment with their legislation, and they're the ones that can open gateways to flood in trillions and trillions of dollars into our industry. So the new CFTC chairman was the person that worked closely with the SEC chairman, and he was the chief counsel of the Crypto Task Force. Now he is the chairman of the CFTC. So it doesn't get better than this. Like, it cannot get better than this. And this is why when we look into the macro landscape, I'm very excited, very bullish. His first, when he got sworn in, his first sort of paragraph of speech included making America the crypto capital of the world. I think it's unbelievably bullish. Apparently there were some other candidates that were wanting to become the CFTC chairman, but they got vetoed by the crypto lobbyists. We know that the Winklevoss twins and a bunch of other crypto prominent people gave in hundreds of millions of dollars to the Trump administration. So when we look at traditional American lobbyism, then that money does have an effect in making key decisions or appointing people that would make decisions in favor for such industry. Is that fair? Is it not fair? It's just how politics works. Is it going to benefit our industry? Yes. So therefore, I think we should be happy and grateful about it. The prior CFTC chairman, the transitory chairman, Caroline, is now working at MoonPay. So now she's working at MoonPay. She just left her position. The new chairman got sworn in, and she is going to be working at MoonPay, which is obviously a crypto company. So regulation-wise, we're going into a very, very pro-crypto environment. It's never been like this. I know that altcoins are at very low levels, but that is the reason due to liquidity. So imagine when we do get liquidity next year, with the pro amounts of innovation of regulation and with the amount of institutional form of capital flow available, like, can you imagine what's going to take place? Well, I know we're in the short term bearish, but when we zoom into the macro, I think it's absolutely bullish. So don't lose hope, don't lose excitement. It's going to require patience, and if you're looking to buy the dip, then this is the time. You need to buy the dip, historically speaking, when there is fear and uncertainty and unhappiness in the markets. Check, check, check. Fear, uncertainty, unhappiness, boredom. These are all the things that we're experiencing today in the markets. And historically, when is it a good time to sell? Well, during euphoria, during certainty that everything is going to be great, and during exciting periods. That's where we need to take profit. So this is the complete opposite of it. Can Bitcoin come down more? Yes. Can altcoins come down more? Yes. This is why there's something called a magical formula, which is the dollar cost averaging formula. You can buy a little bit every single day, and therefore you'll get a dollar cost averaged entry where you're not trying to catch a falling knife, or where you maybe bought in at a price maybe you think was too high. If you do DCAing, then it's going to average out, and you can start doing that today. And you can do it over on our partnered exchanges if you wish to support this channel, using the links down in the description below to get the best bonus available. So it is a win-win. Final thing before we go into your questions is that Uniswap this morning announced a huge governance pass of unification, which will allow 100 million tokens to be burnt through transaction fees. This is huge. I think this is massive, massive news. I'm not bullish on most altcoins at the moment, but I think Uniswap just got this huge piece of news. And I think for the long term, given the fact that they have a huge market share of DeFi and that DeFi is growing, I think this is great news for Uni, and it could be a nice dollar cost average entry now at $5.9. All right, that's everything that I wanted to cover. Let's go through your questions, and then I'll call it a day. And if you're watching this as a video, make sure to destroy the like button if you haven't done so. And if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I will try my best to answer them. All right, let's go through the questions that have been forming since the beginning of today's live show. Okay, the Bitcoin for hourly candles have been holding well till now, but maybe just more sideways. Okay, so I think we did answer that question throughout the stream. First cycle, can you please explain how to navigate the following scenario? After doing some thorough research, chose my RWA play. Ondo entry price was $1.2. Obviously, I'm significantly down. Well, yes, right now, Ondo is at much lower prices, right? We're at 0.3. Oh, wow. Okay, so you went in. Wow, okay, yeah. Makes sense. I also had this W formation on my charts, and I did buy some Ondo, expecting for a potential breakout, and I have it here on the chart. But I exited and I cut a lot of my exposures into altcoins when Bitcoin saw that retests from 10. So this was the retest. So we saw this huge retest, right, back into 105, and that was where I cut a lot of my altcoin holdings, and I did mention them on the live streams, on the videos. But there is also a bag of those altcoins which I'm keeping to not sell. Like you said, I think RWA is the next big play, and when liquidity does come back into the markets, I think Ondo is going to do fine. So there is still a bag of Ondo that I'm not selling, and yes, I'm also down, but my average entry was, yeah, I think it was also in the 0.95 to the $1 area, so not too far off from yours. I'm not selling because I think that tokenization is the play. I think that Ondo Finance is going to do well in the future. Yes, maybe we didn't see this W pattern see a follow through. That's all right, and most likely, a lot of these altcoins that experience that huge liquidations on the day of October 10th, I think we will come back to those wicks because wicks tend to fill. So I'm going to be buying more Ondo at 0.22, and that's going to give me a good dollar cost average entry. And I'm going to be keeping things like Ondo and Chainlink and all the other RWA plays like AVAX2 for Q4 of next year and into 2027 and beyond. It's very unfortunate that October 10th took place. It made a lot of people lose a lot of money. It is what it is. We just need to go through with it. It was something out of our control. But I think if we were patient, and obviously if you don't sell for US dollars, then you haven't lost, right? And I think with things like this, I believe in the macro of it myself too. So when liquidity kicks in and RWA projects that are doing something real in the market and working closely with the government, I believe that those projects will be the first ones to actually excel and produce more returns. So I'm keeping them. I'm not selling at the moment. I did sell a part of it at 105 Bitcoin K retest, but for now I'm holding on to whatever I have left in altcoins. All right, please don't say something about Bitcoin every time. Well, that's not true at all. That's not true at all. We've been very accurate with our Bitcoin predictions for the entirety of this year, and I don't think we've been doing too bad either since 2021. But I know the market's boring, so when markets are boring, people get upset and frustrated. But yeah, it's okay. These times will pass. All right, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video / stream very soon. Guys, it's very boring. It sucks to be in crypto, but please understand, because that's the case and because the long-term future of our industry is intact, just take this time where nobody wants to look at crypto and people feel like throwing up when you look at a Bitcoin chart as an opportunity to buy in when nobody else is buying. So that's all I can say, right? Obviously, you do you. This is just based off of my research, my understandings of the market only. But yeah, we're in this together. I'm here daily, bringing updates in the most boring time in crypto possible. And if you do enjoy them, make sure to destroy the like button. That's all I can ask for. So guys, take care. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next stream / video very soon. Bye-bye, guys.